There is nothing quite like a European night at Anfield, and it doesn't get much bigger than this as the Reds look to overturn a 1-0 deficit against Galatasaray in their Champions League round of 16 second leg. Well, Arne Slot and his side will be looking to ease the pressure with some European redemption. But even though their record in England is poor, the away side arrive here full of confidence, having already shut out the Reds twice at home this season. Can the Anfield factor make the difference as Liverpool take on Galatasaray? It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, and that's when we'll have live audio commentary of all the action on LFC TV, All Red Video and the Match Centre. Welcome along to Matchday Live. Jason McAteer is alongside me in the studio outside Anfield. Great to have you with me, and we'll be catching up very shortly. First, though, we're heading inside the stadium to hear from Jay Spearing, who is with Peter McDowell. And first, Pete has all the details of Liverpool's team news.
Yeah, well, there is one enforced change, Harriet, from the team that were in action against Spurs at the weekend. That because Joe Gomez has been managing an injury, a bit of a niggle for a couple of weeks now. So he comes out of the starting 11. But Ibrahima Konate, who had a niggle of his own, is ready to renew those old acquaintances with Virgil van Dijk at centre-back. So 4 changes from the team that were last in action here on Sunday. Let's confirm that for you in full then. It's Alisson Becker in goal. As a team, they'll be desperate to improve on just 7 clean sheets in their last 27 home games. Virgil van Dijk then so lent on, he's also issued a bit of a rallying call in his programme notes tonight. Says that nights like this are what Anfield are all about. Ibrahima Konate, as I said, back in the 11 again. Had a tough night in Istanbul, rested at the weekend, but Arne Slot says he's completely recovered now. Milos Kerkez, like Konate, fully rested and back in the 11. Then it goes Florian Wirtz, Dominic Szoboszlai, their leading performer, leading scorer in Champions League as well with 4 goals. Alexis McAllister, Mo Salah, who joined Sami Hyypiä now on 94 European appearances. That's 3rd on the all-time list. 52 European goals in those 94 games as well. Ekitike, who will want to rediscover his goal-scoring touch again, only got 1 in the last 8, and then Frimpong and Gravenberch complete the 11. Woodman, Gomez, who is in the squad, Chiesa, Leone, Nallo, Morrison, Engamoa, Gakpo amongst the substitutes as well. 8 goals this season, all of them in the second half, so he could be a vital sub for Liverpool here tonight. Mamardashvili, Andrew Robertson, who was on duty in the press conference last night as well. He says that the quarter-finals are what the fans demand, but they are good enough to be in the last 8. They have to show it tonight. And Curtis Jones completes the squad. Jay Spearing, who's got some really fond memories of classic European nights here of his own, is on duty for us tonight. Next game is always the biggest, Jay, and this has the feel of the biggest game of the season so far.
Cliche to say, but it's the biggest game, and it's right now. An unbelievable game for the players to come into after the huge disappointment that everybody felt the weekend. An unbelievable occasion to come on to a European night at Liverpool. Probably a first time in a very long time that will be a 62,000 of Liverpool fans, no away fans. That could bring the edge that Liverpool need, but as a player, these are the reasons why you play for such a big club like Liverpool. You want to come and statement your name, take the game by the scruff of the neck and be the person that leads by example and goes and gets Liverpool off to a fantastic start, and that's exactly what we need. Galatasaray will obviously have huge threats that they'll bring to the game, but Liverpool have to start well and have to get the fans on side.
Looks as though it's as strong as he could have gone tonight. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, listen, I think the squad, the rotation has been needed. The manager, has he done the Tottenham rotation clever? Looking forward to this game potentially, yeah, but players that even on the bench can come on and can affect the game massively. The team that he's playing, I think it's probably the right selection going into this one. The pace down the side that Galatasaray progress. Is that the reason why he brought in Frimpong and Kerkez back into the side of fullback? The flexibility in midfield and up top really could cause Galatasaray problems, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Is that how you expect them to play? I was going to ask you about the fluidity almost of the fullback position that Dominic Szoboszlai has played there. Is it Frimpong you're expecting to see in that position?
Yeah, for me, especially with Mo playing down the right-hand side, I feel as if that connection of Mo and Jeremy would be more suited to this type of game. I feel that if we want the tempo to be high, I felt that Dom is someone that can bring that energy into midfield. He can press forward. He can jump from midfield onto the Galatasaray backline and start to put them under pressure. And I think Liverpool need to create a tempo that you know, along with the atmosphere, I think the atmosphere and the tempo that the Liverpool players can bring tonight can really put Galatasaray on the back foot, and we need it for the full 95 minutes, hopefully not even extra.
Yeah, the centre-backs as well, to have Ibu back in there, that's the familiarity, isn't it? And I know he had a tough night in Istanbul, but he's been there alongside Virgil van Dijk for so much of the recent success.
Yeah, listen, Ibu is an unbelievable player for this football club. He's done unbelievably well. He's played consistency throughout the season. Everybody's entitled to maybe, if you call it, an off night. You know, with the rest come the weekend, we hope that it does him fantastically well. And the partnership that you touched on between him and Virgil van Dijk has been colossal. You know, they've been the bed of what Liverpool have been over many, many years, especially, you know, last season as well. So he'll come back in tonight and it'll be a partnership that are going to have to be on top form.
What about the atmosphere inside here, Jay? It's been a tough week for the players, but Andy Robbo talking in the press conference last night is saying that the most disappointing thing is that they've sent the fans home unhappy. That's a feeling that none of these players are used to. We've had such great nights here, and European nights perhaps is the ingredient to make this place great again.
Yeah, for me, you listen, I know, you know, the results for everybody, the fans, the manager, the players, you know, everybody's unhappy with the results of the way that they've been. They understand that, you know, they want them to be better. For whatever reason, you know, things haven't gone as smoothly as we would have liked. But like I touched on it before, the occasion that we're coming into now, Galatasaray, you know, we're losing 1-0, but, you know, Liverpool need to come out guns blazing. You know, we're going to get everybody behind. The fans are going to have to create that 12th man, you know, to bring the players up, and the players are going to respond to it. But they have to grab the game by themselves and look forward to it and try and set the tempo on early.
What do we need to be better at tonight? It's easy to say, isn't it? We had so many early opportunities, didn't we, that could have made that game so different. They score after 7 minutes, it makes it different. But what do Liverpool have to be better at tonight than they were in Istanbul?
You know, you probably touched on it there. I think that the clinicalness, you know, when we're in and around the 18-yard box, we need to be clinical. That's the biggest and foremost. But also, you know, I know it's quite obvious, but in both boxes are games of where games are won or lost, and, you know, we need to get back to that being that rock of clean sheets. You know, not concede and be a real tough team to score against, but then also when we get our opportunities, you know, the players that we have on this side, especially starting tonight, they can score goals for fun. You know, we know what they can bring, and hopefully tonight's one of them nights.
Interested at Istanbul last week, and we were waiting for the players to come out after the game. It was very loud in the tunnel of celebrations, louder than the first game. It feels like that was noted by Virgil van Dijk, and that will have probably been mentioned on the coach on the way here. It's probably been mentioned on the training ground this week.
It's a drive that Liverpool, you know, first and foremost, Liverpool won't need more of a drive to come into this one to get into the next stage and, you know, progress in the Champions League. But that added a little bit of extra drive and bit of like bite towards them is that, you know, they were celebrating as if the tie was over. You know, it was 1-0 away at Galatasaray. Liverpool had a huge amount of opportunities to make it level or go on and win the game. Okay, Galatasaray had 1 or 2 as well, but, you know, the game's still only halfway done, and that should spark the players, you know, and we owe them one. And Liverpool, that atmosphere can be created by the players inside the dressing room, but then also on the field with the players and the fans.
We hope it's a classic tonight. It needs to be a disciplined performance as well by Liverpool. Virgil van Dijk, Ryan Gravenberch and Curtis Jones are a yellow card away from being suspended in any kind of next stage for the Reds. So let's keep our fingers crossed the referee is playing the role of a quiet man tonight.
Let's keep our fingers crossed for everything, I think, tonight, right? I mean, in the context of Liverpool's season, do you think we've had many knockout games at Anfield quite as big as this, Jason?
Oh, over the history of European competitions, yeah. You know, Borussia Dortmund springs to mind, obviously Barcelona. But there's an emphasis and a highlight on this game, isn't there, because of the noise that's surrounding the club at the minute. And, you know, it's a difficult fixture. Liverpool are 1-0 down, but it's nothing beyond their capabilities to pull it back. In some ways, I actually think it's a really good tie. You know, it's under the lights, European night, 1-0 down, everything against us. It's just like Liverpool to go and pull it out the bag and give us something to shout about. Do
you think the players will feel that, the sense of everything being against them and wanting to turn up tonight?
Absolutely. You know, it's not just professional pride. It's, listen, with what goes on around the football club with social media and the news and everything, that it's very hard now to stay sheltered from criticism. And, you know, there's enough of it being thrown around right now, and the players will take that on board. You know, there's people within the football club, the leadership team, it's down to them, you know, to show the players and, you know, to give them the direction and give them the information that they need to go out and put a performance in. But as professional footballers, listen, it comes with the job. You know, criticism comes with the job, and it's about having to deal with that criticism and putting it right, being professional. And like the boys said, you know, staying patient in tonight's fixture, but believing that you can do it. There's no point going out there and if you don't believe you can turn this around. But there's enough big players and professionals in that dressing room that know what's at stake.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's get some reflection of the weekend out of the way first of all. It was a frustrating one, I know we do have to. Do you think that's a scenario we've seen play out just a few too many times this season, conceding a late goal, feeling like we could have had so many opportunities to be so in control and ultimately coming away with just a point?
Listen, the disappointing aspects of plenty of games this season was on show again at the weekend, and that's what's disappointing. And I think the fans' frustration is coming from the fact that, you know, we can all see it. I'm sure the players and the staff can see it. They're just not putting it right, you know, to turn it into a basketball game, as we've seen plenty of times, as you mentioned quite rightly, in lots of fixtures this season. You know, was there again to be seen against Tottenham. You know, the game opened up in the final 20 minutes and Liverpool couldn't handle the pressure, and unfortunately they let Tottenham get back into it and take a point from Anfield. And that was really disappointing, because I thought for the first half, especially leading up to the goal we scored after 20 minutes, Liverpool were good value. They started well. Again, that was a criticism aimed at Liverpool, that they don't start well this season. They get themselves in front, but then they squander so many opportunities around the box, in the box. Chances they've created to put good balls into the box, you know, just wasn't there again. And then you go into that final 20 minutes, like I said, it all opened up. The game management wasn't there, and you just feel, here we go again. And then we see, you know, it all plays out and Tottenham score, and like I said, they take a point and we drop 2 points. Is
that the issue then, that we're giving the opposition confidence because we squander some of our chances, like you said, and they just start to think, could this be our day to get something out of this?
Yeah, you know, speaking, you know, to my mates after the game and stuff, a lot raised an eyebrow about the team selection. You know, there was no Ekitike, there was no Salah, there was no Kanate, there was no Kerkez. You know, I understand this game tonight takes importance, but I'm sure them players would find the energy to play in games now towards now and the end of the season. Every game is a big game for Liverpool. You know, we're going for Champions League positions. You know, footballers want to play. I understand there's resting players, I understand there's priorities. But, you know, I just felt there was a lot of change there. And sometimes when you make too much change, there can become a scenario where, you know, you do open up, and teams, if you don't put them to bed early, okay, we want 1-0 up, but then we miss another chance to make it comfortable. You get to half time, it's only 1-0. Tottenham are up against it. They're fighting for points. They're looking for points. You know, it's not an easy ask. They might be in free fall, but they're going to offer something. And if you give them a little bit of optimism, a little bit of hope, then they will take it. And I just felt that, you're right, Liverpool did offer something by missing them chances, but also being too open and not managing the game properly.
Yeah, well, one huge positive to take from the weekend was the introduction of Rio Ngamoa, 17 years old. There's been a lot of calls, hasn't there, recently for him to start. What did you make of his performance? We're going to see some of his best bits from the weekend here.
Starting a game is completely different than coming on and trying to make an impact, whether you're a goal down or whether it's, you know, you're drawing the game with 15 minutes to go. And, you know, he's the kind of player that can offer something in the final third. He's extremely quick, he's two-footed, he can go inside, he can go outside, but what we forget, he's 17, and to throw him in for 90 minutes, start a game of this magnitude, listen, there's no given that Liverpool are going to get Champions League positions, and we know how important that is for our season. You know, it was a big call for the manager. There was a lot of people wanted him in the team, and he's kind of give them what they want, really. His performance was okay. Listen, he got on the ball, he was probably the shining light in the final third. But when I say 17, he's still learning the game. There were moments in the game that I thought he could have done things better, and that's not being critical of him. But it's a big ask for him to come in and start a game at 17 years of age. But listen, when he was on the ball, he was fantastic. He's just got to learn when we haven't got it, to tuck in a little bit more. There is defensive duties to do, and that'll come over time and experience.
Maybe a little bit too far to start him tonight, but is he the kind of player that if you need a bit of energy on 70 minutes, potentially looking at added time, he can make the difference? Absolutely.
I think the enormity of the game, the physicality of the game tonight, listen, they're going to come. They've got a 1-0 lead, they're going to protect it. You know, we know we know what the Turks are like, the Turkish teams are like. There's dark arts played, they know how to time waste, they know how to be physical.
Slot referenced that in his press conference, how they might try and kill the momentum early doors.
Yeah, I've played against Turkey a couple of times, and I know all about them. They're very, very good at it. But obviously there's no fans in the stadium tonight, which will play its part for Liverpool. We'll go against them tonight. But I think for Rio Wengamoa, I think tonight's challenge is a little bit of a step too far.
Well, Wirtz is starting in that left forward position tonight. What do you think he offers to the team?
Well, I don't want to see him wide left, and I'm not too sure whether. No, I don't. I'm not too sure whether we'll set up with a traditional 4-3-3. We might play a diamond in midfield, but I think he will come inside a lot if he's playing on the left. If that's how we set up a 4-3-3, I think you'll see him drifting inside a lot and trying to get on the ball from a more central area. Listen, he's got better and better as the season's gone on, Wirtz. He's physically in tune now to the challenges that the Premier League offer. He's up to speed. We're seeing the best of him. Unfortunately, the injury that he suffered a few weeks ago, maybe taking him out the team was when we probably needed him most. But he's back tonight. And he'll have his first taste of Anfield under the lights in a European game of this magnitude. Listen, it's okay playing in the league fixtures when you can maybe afford to drop a couple of points now and again, but like you said off air to me tonight, playing in knockout competitions is a different ball game. So 1-0 down under the lights, big European night, the crowd will be right up for it. I'm sure he'll turn up and play.
Well, Ekitike will be experiencing that same thing as well. Is he a player that you think can rise to the occasion? He's tailed off a little bit in recent weeks.
Yeah, 1 in 8. He'll be disappointed with that. You could see the other week in an interview. I'm not too sure who it was. It was only a few weeks ago, and he in fact, it might have been the goal he scored in his 8 games. But he was disappointed not to get on the score sheet a few more times. And you want to see that in your centre forward. But it'll be hurting him right now. It'll be hurting him that he's dropped off a little bit and he's not added to that one goal he scored in the 8 games. But he will be right up for it tonight. Listen, one thing he never does. He never downs tools, Ekitike. He's always running, he's always trying to get in them positions, and hopefully he'll get on the score sheet tonight.
Well, Szoboszlai is playing back in the midfield. We've seen how he's been playing at right back. He scores another incredible free kick at the weekend. But what can he offer playing in that midfield role versus when he is stuck at right back and he doesn't feel like he can affect the game quite so much? You can see his goal here as well. Yeah,
he's been a victim of his own versatility, hasn't he? Which is... it's kind of hindered Liverpool a little bit because he's been our standout player this season, but it has been in that central area. Listen, we're seeing him from a dead ball position, and we all thought after losing Trent, it was going to weaken us in them positions, but he stepped up to the mark and scored some wonder goals this season, I think arguably right up there with Trent. It'd be interesting if Trent was still here, who would be on free kicks actually.
Who do you think's got the edge on the free kicks between the two of them?
Oh,
that's a difficult question.
Thanks for that. Who would I go for last minute over a free kick? Do you know what? I'd go for Dom,
I would at the moment, yeah.
I would. Just looking at some of the footage there, you'd probably have to, wouldn't you? Listen, Trent's up there, but, this season I think Dom's, he's added some great goals, hasn't he, to his repertoire. But I think in playing in midfield is vitally important tonight. Listen, that's where the game could be won. The physical battle in midfield, winning the ball, turning it over. One thing Liverpool fans have been critical of the manager and his tactics is slow through the lines, pedestrian, predictable football. Listen, when Szoboszlai is playing in midfield, he will start the press. He will be aggressive. And that's what you need tonight. You need to be on the front foot. You need to be getting in the final third. You need to be pressing, winning the ball high up, because that's where Ekitike wants to receive the ball on the edge of the box. Salah wants to receive it. Wirtz wants to receive it in them areas. And, Dom's very good at starting the press. His leadership qualities are very good. And it's important that he plays in there tonight, and that's where we're going to see him.
Yeah, definitely need that energy from the whole team tonight. That's Liverpool then. We can get the team news of Galatasaray now and rejoin Jay and Pete inside the stadium.
Yeah, and the only team that we've failed to score against in Champions League, that's worth remembering, of Galatasaray. this season we spoke about the enforced change for Liverpool before. They have one enforced of their own. Probably should have lost more to suspension tonight, but no Davinson Sanchez from the team last time out. It's one of two changes from the team that played there last week. Let's confirm their 11 in full. Same goalkeeper, Ushan Jakir in goal. Clean sheet in that reverse game. They've been few and far between for him in that Galatasaray goal of late, in all fairness. And then it's Sacha Bowie who comes in to that back four. So Singo moves inside and will play alongside Bardak Sher, the captain, and Ismail Jakobs, a back four that fight for the defensive edge. The only team in Champions League, like we mentioned before, that Liverpool have failed to score against in the competition, and 2 clean sheets against the Reds in total. Torreira and Lamina are that defensive partnership in front of the back four. Lamina getting his first of the season in the first leg. Once got the winner here as a Fulham player back in COVID times as well. And then it's Barış Yilmaz who scored in the first of the 2 games in Istanbul from the spot. 10 goals he scored already this season. And then Roland Salai, who will play a bit further forward, the Hungarian teammate of Dom Szoboszlai and Milos Kerkez. And then Sara will play in that 10 position, the man likely to cause the danger in behind Osimhen, the main man, the peak of this free-scoring team. 19 goals this season, 37 he got last campaign, and scored in 4 of his last 5 games, the exception being Liverpool, but as you saw, a big danger. And then Lang, who drops to the bench, might be because he would miss any quarter-final if he's booked tonight. 5 of them for Galatasaray that walked that same tightrope. Osimhen as well is one of those. Icardi with 15 goals this season, and then Leroy Sané sent off the weekend before the previous game. He's got 4 of his last 8 against Liverpool, all as a Man City player, and İlkay Gundogan as well. 15 games experience against Liverpool in the titanic battles against Man City. Jay Spearing is still with us here. They won 3-0 at the weekend, Galatasaray. They're 5 on the bounce now, and they might sniff a little bit of vulnerability about Liverpool tonight here, despite the fact it's Anfield.
Yeah, listen, they're going to come here full of confidence. They've got every right to. You know, the form that they're in, 5 wins on the bounce. Not a comfortable win the weekend of a 3-0. You know, there was plenty of chances where they had to defend for their lives and, like, you know, protect that goal and really stop conceding. But Liverpool, they've got frailties. Liverpool can exploit them. I felt that in the first leg they tried to play through the lines a little bit too much, and Liverpool capitalised on that and had real opportunities to really, you know, score against them and put them on the back foot. But they are a real threat going forward. You know, Lang being placed to the bench is maybe a little bit of a bonus for Liverpool to not start the game. But for me, I really like Yilmaz and I really like Sara, you know, in that 11 and 10 position. For me, the creativity that they bring for Galatasaray, and then, you know, the obvious one, Osimhen, he's a real threat. He has an all-round number 9. He's probably a bit of everything. You know, he's dangerous in the box with his head. He can finish off both feet. He's paceful. He's powerful. So, you know, Liverpool are going to have to be really, really ready at it from the start tonight.
There is a feeling when you speak to Galatasaray fans that they maybe park the bus a little bit too much against Juve, and this narrative that maybe they don't travel particularly well. Might they be tempted to be a bit more ambitious against Liverpool tonight, do you think?
Do you know what? I'm not too sure. It's probably a hard one to judge because, you know, it's a real tight game, and if they let Liverpool come out and they let Liverpool attack them quickly, and for the first 20-25 minutes, you know, it could be a really long night away from home with no, you know, away fans to give you that second wind or that second boost, you know, to get you going in the game. So they've got to come with a game plan. Are they going to come at Liverpool straight away and try and get us on the back foot? So Liverpool have got to be wary of that also, but make sure that we just concentrate on ourselves. But they do pose a real threat going forward. How
lucky are they to have Osimhen? He's an elite force, isn't he? 7 in his last 9 in Champions League. We spoke about the noise before. That might have been because of these reports that he's negotiated this huge bonus should they knock Liverpool out tonight. But he is. It's the obvious thing to say, but he's a massive danger to any Champions League defence this year.
Yeah, he is, and you could see why the hype in the summer just gone, was so much about him. You know, where would he stay? Would he go? Who would he go to? Every club in Europe and the world is probably looking for his signature. And like I said, he's a real all-round number 9. He's not just in particular good at one area. You know, he's very, very good at all areas, aspects of a number 9. He scores goals clearly. You know, his hold-up play, his threat on the back line, his runs off the shoulders of defenders. But, you know, I noticed something in the last game. He's a real threat where he nudges the defender as they're going to go in ahead, and he comes and waits and ready for second ball. So he's got a lot of cleverness to his game as well.
Talk to us about this place, Jay. We mentioned at the top that you've experienced so many fantastic nights, and there has been a bit of negativity around in the past couple of weeks, but the positive is there's a big prize at stake here, isn't there, to go to PSG and potentially upset the apple cart where that is concerned. This place, when it's bouncing, is like no other place on earth.
For me, absolutely not. I was very lucky to play in front of 44,000, you know, when Real Madrid came here in the knockout stages. And then now you got, you know, 62,000 Liverpool fans, no away fans. People join clubs like Liverpool to play in these nights and to make names for themselves. This is one of the biggest clubs in the world on an unbelievable occasion to go and represent and showcase and grab the game by the scruff of the neck, what we spoke about before. And Liverpool players have got to respond to it, the fans have got to respond to it, and what an unbelievable occasion to do so.
Everybody's got behind it. The Spine Cop have done something this week to say that we all play a part in this, don't we? Obviously the players have got the responsibility, the manager to pick the right team, but should this place be bouncing tonight, it's a place that's changed all of our lives as fans as well.
Many times, and even as a player and as a fan, it still gives me, you know, shivers up my spine. To, you know, when they're singing "You'll Never Walk Alone," when the chants get going, "LA, LA, LA," they are unbelievable moments. And as a player on that field, when the songs are getting chanted from every single person in the stand, it gives you that boost to go on and do more. You know, to play better, to perform better, and to do it for them. Obviously, you want to do it for yourself and the team and the manager first and foremost. But you know, to have the fans supporting and backing you all the way in, it's an unbelievable feeling.
Well, this is a great place to be as we warm up for the tonight's occasion. As the goalkeepers are out, the players will be out very soon as well. But Jay is about to join you, Harriet and Jason up in the box in the next couple of minutes.
Yes, we'll see Jay in just
worry.
a minute. We do.
We're doing all right without him.
We're doing all right without him, but we'll welcome him in. Let's chat about the opposition then. They were mentioning there Victor Osimhen, what a force he is. He scored in the group stage against us. He scored that penalty, gets the assist as well in the first leg. I mean, he's a threat, isn't he? He's a proper handful. We can see some of the clips here now. How do Liverpool's defence deal with him tonight?
Well, a bit like they did last
week. Big sigh. Well, they did, but he still created a lot of issues in the first leg.
He did. Like you said, he's a handful. He's a great player. Watched him closely over the years. Napoli, Liverpool would have come across him there because we have had many a tie against Napoli. And raised an eyebrow when he went there. I think he fell out with the Napoli players and the club, didn't he? There was a few things happened there, and he just felt he was on the move. And it was at a time when, you know, there was a lot of Premier League clubs looking for a centre forward. And if you remember, there was a kind of a shortage of them, and you know, he was on everyone's list.
He was mentioned a lot, wasn't he?
Yeah, Arsenal, United. I don't know if he was linked here. I'm not sure, but he was on everyone's lips. And then all of a sudden, he turned up at Galatasaray, and we usually. Listen, with no disrespect to Galatasaray, but it's usually players who are kind of maybe coming to the end of their career, or, you know, you looked at him going there in his peak and it was a bit, whoa. So it kind of raised the question, you know, why? And I don't think it'd ever come out why, but he seems to have settled at Galatasaray. He's become a fan's favourite. He scored lots of goals for him, assists as well.
19 goals, 7 assists in all comps this season.
You know, so he's involved in everything. And like you say, you know, when we say a handful, sometimes it can sound a little bit disrespectful, but I think a handful in the sense of he can do everything, you know. And you're right, you know, he's good in the air, he's quick, he hangs on shoulders, he'll come to feet and hold it up. He's a big problem for centre halves, and you know, you're right, he was a problem last week. You know, he didn't get on the score sheet, but the lads, you know, at times, you know, they failed to control him. Tonight he won't have probably as much service, hopefully. But if you give him that opportunity from a set piece, or if it drops to him in the box, he'll finish it. And he's someone you're going to have to watch closely.
Yeah, a real complete number 9. And they've also got a lot of threats off the bench, the likes of Sané and Icardi, that can come on and make an impact. Is it particularly in those attacking areas that we're going to have to watch out for them? Because defensively at times they've shown they have got weaknesses. Yeah,
you mentioned it. You know, the away form hasn't been great. I think it's Frankfurt, Monaco, Juventus and Man City.
You smashed that. You nailed it in the memory.
We were doing the 10 times, weren't we, before we said that? Yeah. So you know, and you're right. They're not great away from home. They do concede a lot of goals. So that's something that will be a concern to them, the manager and the supporters. But I think for Liverpool, you know, you've just said there that they have got a lot of firepower. They have got a lot of good players in that forward area. Liverpool's vulnerability is if the game becomes open. And then they start, you know, taking chances because they need to get back in the game. The game will open up, and they can be punished by some of the players that Galatasaray have got. And you're right, they can make changes if you know, it goes to 1-1 or 2-1. The game, you know, does open up and, you know, gets out of control. You know, that could be a worry for Liverpool, as we've seen in league games this season. against plenty of opposition.
Yeah, well, you reference it there. They're 7th currently. They're 7 points clear, in the Turkish Super League, on course for a 4th successive title. In the Champions League group stage, they finished in 20th, and against Juventus, looked like they were going out. It was 7-5. They were cruising 5-2 after their Rams Park game first leg, and in the second leg, a 10-man Juve got it to 5-5 in the tie. So that does show, look, you can see their results here, that we could be facing tougher opposition tonight. They are going to give up opportunities. We are going to have to take them though, aren't we?
Yeah, listen, I know last week, was it last week? I've done that much travelling. Last
they
week
all
or the
blur
week
into
before,
one.
it all just blurs into one, doesn't it? But, you know, I watched the game and, you know, there's been a lot of criticism about Liverpool's performance, and I mentioned it before, right? To go to Turkey and play is unique. It offers a massive challenge to any team that goes there. You ask Man United teams that have played in Europe, whoever it may be, Juventus, you ask them, they got done 5-2 in Turkey. It's not an easy place to go. Liverpool almost give us the perfect away performance, and you can be critical of opportunities that they squandered, or opportunities that they give up. And Galatasaray, could have made, or should have made the scoreline a little bit more, but they didn't. Liverpool dug in. Yeah, they were sloppy at times. Yeah, they conceded a goal. Yeah, they lost the game. But in the, if you look at the bigger picture, I actually think it was a decent away performance against a real tough opposition. Now, if they beat us tonight, I might have a different flavour on what I'm going to say and a different thought of what I think. But I think Liverpool have given themselves a real opportunity tonight. I would have took 1-0. I would have took a 1-0 defeat, going to Turkey and coming home with that, that would have done me. We're at 1-0. But you need to respect your opponents. You're right, there's things against Galatasaray, their away performances, the goals that they conceded away. But, it's in Liverpool's hands, I think. They're still favourites.
Yeah, they played 5 away games in the Champions League, got just 1 win. So hopefully that will give Liverpool some encouragement tonight. Kick-off is just around the corner. And come 8 o'clock, Steve Hunter and Neil Mellor will be providing live audio commentary of all of the action. But let's hear from Steve now. Steve, how are you feeling ahead of another huge night here at Anfield? You always bring the energy.
Thank you so much, Harriet. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, we're really excited for this one. You can sense, you can feel, there's a real buzz in the air. There always is at Anfield under the lights. Something special normally happens, doesn't it? It's not a coincidence. We've done it so many times. This is our 50th year playing in European competition. That's so proud, isn't it, as a football club? And it makes each and every one of us feel proud to be a part of Liverpool Football Club with that, 6 times winners. Let's not forget, by the way, Manchester City going out last night and have only won one European Cup. Arsenal haven't won a European Cup yet. So it's pride. That's what Liverpool is all about. We've been there before. Jason mentioned before, Dortmund, Barcelona, Olympiacos. Mr. Mellor alongside me played such a key moment in that. There's been so many wonderful occasions, and the fans make a difference. The 12th man, and to get you ready for this one tonight, we give you the power that is Anfield.
Settings. It's Liverpool. The shouting is about to begin. Hello, here we go. Luis Garcia. This time!
Oh yes, the power of Anfield. That's what we need tonight, folks, isn't it? In abundance. And you know what? Some of these European nights we've spoken about before have brought up unsung heroes, haven't we? You look at Xherdan Shaqiri, Divock Origi, some of the moments they've had in that Barcelona game especially. Dejan Lovren got the winner against Dortmund from James Milner's cross. We spoke about Olympiacos before. Neil Mellor in that one. Florent Sinama-Pong goal, doing unbelievable things coming off the bench. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's what this football club is all about. Playing in European football, as I say, and make no danger of repeating myself over this, this is what this football club is all about. This is Liverpool Football Club. We've got passion. Something always special happens on a European night. It's no coincidence, and I'm certain it could happen again tonight. No doubt about it. Harriet, it's back to you.
Love that from Steve. Always bringing the energy, like I said. If you are watching on social media, we are saying goodbye now. But of course, if you do want to continue watching and you aren't a subscriber to LFC TV or All Red Video, head to liverpoolfc.com/watch for all of the details. Still to come before kick-off, we'll hear from Andy Robertson. And as mentioned, Stephen Neal will be on commentary duty at 8 p.m. And then Jay will be back alongside Jason and myself after the game to chat over all of the key talking points and bring you some interviews and reaction from the Reds dressing room. That post-match show will also be available to listen to later tonight in the Reaction podcast. And the full match replay goes out at midnight, and there's more detailed analysis of tonight's game with Neil Mellor in the review show at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Well, we're building up to Liverpool versus Galatasaray, the second leg of the Champions League round of 16. The visitors have a 1-0 advantage from the first leg, but the Reds are aiming